development priorities and economic realities converge, are current efforts in talent and capacity building enough to sustain long-term growth and competitiveness? And what will ultimately determine whether today's strategies translate into real resilience for the future? I'm Muhammed Ahmad Hamdan, and this is Money Matters. Hello there, good evening and welcome to Money Matters on your favorite channel TV3, where you can also stream on Tonton. Now, what do Pahang's development, investment and talent priorities mean for growth, opportunity and impact on the ground? Joining us now to discuss this further is Yayasan Pahang's Investment Board Member, Dali Kumar Sardar. Dali, welcome to Money Matters and thanks for taking the time here on this episode of Money Matters.
I'm glad to be here. Thanks for the invitation. Yeah.
Sure. Now, from your perspective, Dali, as someone involved in investment and also development, how do you see Pahang's economic strengths evolving over the next decade?
I think it's going to be impeccable in terms of growth with the completion of the ECRL. It will open up the state further into the commerce in the state. As you can see, the state in the last couple of decades have already experienced a lot of investments in manufacturing, big investment manufacturing. And by having ECRL that assists in terms of transportation of goods, from East Coast to West Coast and also up North and South, I think the state is poised for higher growth.
Would you say that the ECRL project particularly is a game changer for Pahang?
Definitely, for sure. I mean, that's a whole game plan, right? And it opens up the state that has not been the main economic contributor in terms of GDP. But I think we'll see a lot more activities. And East Coast is definitely for the East Coast states. ECRL is a game changer. Yeah.
And what kind of investment opportunities you see coming from the existence of the ECRL?
I think we're talking about a lot of manufacturing, a lot of logistics business, automobile business, and even for that matter, building materials. So these are things that the state is poised to take advantage of. What needs to happen, though, in the state is a bit more investments in power generation, because when the industries comes to the state, they will need to be powered.
But we also want to talk about wage growth in the state. Taking into account current economic shifts, how would you describe the current trajectory of productivity and wage growth in Pahang as the economy shifts towards, higher value activities?
Well, it's interesting you brought that question because the TVET graduates that have been trained by Yayasan Pahang are starting with salaries that no one thought they would be getting. So, and this is one way Yayasan Pahang, together with the cooperation of the state, is getting people prepared and getting people employed above the minimum wage and above beyond the expectation. So I think this is accolade to the state. Yeah.
On your experience with capacity building, deserve greater focus going forward? Which areas to develop these talent pool in Pahang? Which areas of focus are we looking at here going forward?
I think Pahang would be a good place to expand in terms of bringing MRO business for the aircraft, for the aviation industry, maintenance and repair, or overall, because they have, they have international airport and they have access to a lot of, and they're close to Singapore. So this is something we need to work on. Just for your information, there is a huge shortage of aircraft engineers in this country. And Yayasan Pahang has been approached by a few airlines in this country to train aircraft engineers, which will be sponsored and funded by Yayasan Pahang. And again, these people are going to be 100% gainfully employed before graduation. It's a 4-year program, but they will.
How has the progress been so far?
Well, we're about to start. I mean, the interest is.
So it hasn't started
It
yet?
hasn't started, but it's going to start.
When is it expected to start?
This will probably go into effect towards the end of the year.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the whole program will run for about 4 years?
Yes, for each graduate, 4 years. Yeah.
So, Dali, we still want to explore a little bit more on the future workforce in Pahang, but hold that thought because we're going to go for a quick break.
Sure.
We're going to go for a quick break, so don't go away because Money Matters will be back shortly. Welcome back. We're continuing our conversation with Investment Board Member Yayasan Pahang, Dali Kumar Sardar. Now, Dali, looking at current trends, what does a future-ready workforce realistically look like for Pahang as technology reshapes industries? We have AI, and we see a lot of automation going on with manufacturing companies and whatnot.
Well, certainly none of us can avoid AI that's hitting us hard like a runaway train. I think as far as the state and Yayasan Pahang is concerned, they have, I mean, they own a university, so they're also training people in that line of business. And I think what I have seen in the 25 years that I've been involved in Yayasan Pahang is they do things which is relevant to what the state wants. And that way you complement the state and you also assist the state in terms of growth by training, you know. And that's one. Number two, Yayasan Pahang is financially independent organization. They have a business, they have a solid business, but they also have a social economic responsibility to the people of Pahang. But not a cent of what they spend on their social economic activities comes from the state of the federal government. They don't get any grant. Everything comes from the business. And I mean, on the average, Yayasan Pahang spends more than 100 million a year for their social economic activities. And you know, there's a whole range of them. But every penny is internally funded from the business. And it's a remarkable achievement by itself, which I have never seen in other state agencies in the country. Yeah. You know, Yayasan Pahang, if some of you may remember, used to own a stockbroking firm called MGIC Money Broker. And that in the Asian financial crisis, everyone was affected, and the stockbroking was under PN 17, which means it had to be financially restructured. So I was brought in to restructure the company back in 2000. And we eventually got the restructuring done, and the listing of the entity was assumed by another company. And Yayasan Pahang managed to recover a lot of its investments from divesting some of the shares. And they made a very strategic decision to go into plantation. And because of that strategic decision they made 25 years ago, that's where they are now financially.
Yayasan Pahang is moving toward a model of financial self-sustainability.
Exactly.
I think it's already there almost, we can say. In this pursuit of a robust balance sheet, how do you ensure that the drive for profit doesn't overshadow your core mandate of social capacity building?
Very simple. I'm working with very honest and straight people, and they have no hidden agenda.
No funny business.
No funny business. And this is and you know, the succession plan in Yayasan Pahang is unbelievable. You know, it works, and the people who have been identified to run the organization, because I see the passion in these people, and they want to make things happen, and they want to make it fast. They have been very fortunate to have the support of the state, the politicians, the leaders, and also from the royal family. So I think I also sit on board of banks before and until today, and we get to see different state agencies around the country in terms of how they run the business and how they manage their finances. In my personal opinion, in my humble personal opinion, this is the best run state agencies in the whole country. They've got assets worth a few $1 billion. They've got cash, and they have zero borrowings. Not many state agencies can do that. And I think that is attributed to the leadership at Yayasan Pahang and the strong support from the state government. And you know, when you want to have a strong state agency like that, the lesser the interference, the better it is for management to run the business, and from a governance standpoint.
Sure, I agree. And you also, that Yayasan Pahang is also venturing outside of Pahang.
Yep.
What are some of the plans in the pipeline, if you can share with us?
It's a bit too early for us to share on the air, but you'll hear it in the news, inshallah, in the next couple of...
Okay, perhaps, well, you know, the kind
Well, I
of,
mean, you know, when you look at investment, you know, you have plantations, and then you have to put some money in real estate, you have to put some money in you know, manufacturing business. We have also put some money in power generation vis-a-vis solar. So that's something we are pretty good at in terms of the business. But when you have a balance sheet that size with no gearing, the capacity to take on acquisitions is a lot easier. Yeah.
Acquisition, that's really interesting.
Okay. Well, I think I let the cat out of the box.
Okay, that's all right. While your focus on capacity building aligns perfectly with state and federal development goals, private investors often look for more traditional commercial returns. How do you bridge this gap to make Yayasan Pahang an attractive partner for the private sector without diluting your socioeconomic objectives?
Well, I think Yayasan Pahang runs just like any private organization. At the end of the day, it's all about making money. Because if you don't make enough money, you cannot sustain or you cannot support your social economic responsibility. And this is something not many organizations are good at. They run a business, but when it comes to social economic responsibility, most are dependent on some kind of support or grant from the government. It shouldn't be that way. You cannot have the government spoon feeding you for so long, and then at the end of the day, still dependent on it. I mean, I know because I used to sit on the board of a company that has been, in my opinion, spoon-fed by the government for 30 years, and they're still being spoon-fed. So that's unfortunate. Yeah.
Now, we want to look at, from a development standpoint, we want to look at, what kind of outcome indicators are more sort of like meaningful in assessing whether capacity building efforts genuinely improve social mobility in Pahang. But hold that thought because we're going to go for another round of break.
Okay, thank you.
To our viewers, don't go away because Money Matters. We'll be back shortly. Thank you for staying with us. We have with us here in the studio Investment Board member Yayasan Pahang, Dali Kumar Sardar. Now, Dali, let's talk a little bit about measuring social mobility in Pahang. What kind of outcome indicators are most meaningful in assessing whether capacity building efforts genuinely improve social mobility in Pahang?
I will answer that from two angles, and this is based on my experience, what I've seen sitting on boards of entities in Pahang. Obviously, within the state of Pahang, you have people moving from rural to urban, seeking for jobs. But because Pahang is close to, Terengganu is next to Pahang and also Kelantan, so there are people who are from the other two states that also come and work in Kuantan. And leaving their families back in the respective states, but they go back for the weekend. So Pahang is a magnet for those people in the East Coast states. I think we will see, and there are also people from the western part of the peninsula that works in Pahang and commute. So I think opportunities are there. That's one. Number two is, as far as Yayasan Pahang and the state is concerned, there is an urgent need and push to bring people up from the B40 to the M40 stage, and I think this is where the emphasis on the TVET training and TVET training. By the way, all their training is done under an entity called YP Skills, and they have trained 8,000 people in the last couple of years. So I think there's definitely an interest to move people up the curve and also to bring people up, in terms of job scope.
And I think it's also fair to describe Pahang as the KL equivalent, sort of. It's attracting workers from neighboring states to come into Pahang and find a job and work in Pahang.
Yep.
Let's talk about investments again in Pahang within the East Coast economic region, because you mentioned Kelantan and Terengganu. In your assessment, how can Pahang continue to strengthen its competitiveness in attracting high-value investments?
To attract businesses, continuous investments in infrastructure and upgrading the existing infrastructure is important, because otherwise business won't come. So you have to make it easy for people to move things, to move goods around, and for employees to move around. Definitely the East Coast Highway has been a gem for a lot of people. If you remember growing up, we had to go to Kuantan, we had to access through the old road, and that was quite painful. So I think the ECRL, the highways, and that just opens up the state. And this is why I think, like I said, 5-10 years from today, Pahang is going to be one of the major GDP contributor in the country.
How do you see Pahang today compared to perhaps 20 years ago? Because especially when we're talking about infrastructure, business infrastructure in the state.
A lot of improvement. Okay. You look at some of the industrial estates. You look at.
Do you also see a lot more FDIs coming to Pahang over the last 20 years?
For sure. We had one of the largest steel mill manufacturer in Asia that's in Kuantan, called Alliance Steel, and it's a huge investment.
And we also have liners.
You have liners. So these are not big, these are not small investments, and to bring names like that requires a lot of coordination and ability for the state government, the state agencies to move fast. Otherwise, they go elsewhere. So I think this is all coordinated effort between the state and the federal government. But as long as we keep investing in infrastructure, people will come. And this is actually one of the success stories in China. And they do the infrastructure investments quietly. We do in Malaysia, we do it with a little bit more funfair, but still we do it. And we do it at a pace that is much faster than some of our neighbors. So I think we're good.
And you also said earlier that you foresee Pahang to contribute a lot more to the country's GDP in the future. Right now, it's probably less than 10% of Malaysia's GDP. How do you see Pahang achieving that?
Well, I think it's more of where will that figure be?
Okay. What areas?
10 years from today, I would like to see Pahang contribute at least 20% of the GDP of the country.
Where do you think the bulk of that will come from? What industry?
It will be there will be mineral industries.
Okay.
Transport and logistics business, because with the ECRL, if we don't take advantage of the the logistics and the supply chain equation, then we are not really maximizing the benefits of ECRL. So I think that's going to come, and it makes sense for Pahang, because you don't have to go around from China all the way down to Port Klang. You can ship a lot of things through the port in Kuantan and then ship it by ECRL, by cargo, to the West Coast. And that's what logistics is all about, to lower down the cost of business.
Okay. Looking ahead, in your view, what human capital priority will matter most in shaping Pahang's long-term economic resilience?
As we said earlier, the AI is hitting us like a ton of brick, and it's here to stay. We have to train in our workforce to handle that. Obviously, with AI, there are pluses and minuses. But I think at the end of the day, every business in the country or around the world has to equip their team with the latest knowledge and skill in AI, right?
And I also agree with you when it comes to AI. I think the first who explores AI will gain the advantage, as opposed to those who try to, not utilize AI. It's something that we cannot ignore. It's a technology that we have to embrace.
Definitely.
But I think it's also important for people to understand that when you use AI, it's not to take over your job, but to enhance your work instead of...
That's the key word,
Now, Mr. Dali Kumar Sardar, Investment Board Member, Yayasan Pahang, thank you so much once again for being with us on this episode of Money Matters. We really appreciate your insight on this program.
All right, thank you.
Great. Now, for the past half an hour, you've been with us here on Money Matters. If you missed any part of today's episode, you can always catch it up on Tonton. Be sure to join us next week, same time, right here on TV3. I'm Muhammed Ahmad Hamdan. Thanks for watching and have a great weekend.